And we are live. Well, hello, everybody. Nothing wants to cooperate today. And welcome to our July Admin User Group Meetup. It's so good to see so many people joining us from month to month. And for those of you who are new here, welcome in. My name is Michael Lacurcio. I'm the user group leader for this chapter. And I think we have a really good agenda for today. It may not take the full hour, but that's okay because it's the summer and I know many people are either off and traveling and maybe watching this on replay. So we'll keep it short and sweet, and I'll hopefully have some good topics to talk with you about today. So with that said, let's talk a little bit about the agenda I put together for today. And I'm really hoping for some great interaction with all of you guys and maybe some good discussions today as we talk about some great admin topics. So we'll do a quick recap of our June meeting. Just want to reintroduce or go over some of the content that we heard there. Won't spend a ton of time on there, but thought it would be worth just spending a few minutes. We'll talk about our summer plans for both this user group, our lives, and Zendesk. And we'll do a little Slido, have a little fun over there. For those of you who are not familiar with that, it's kind of like an online polling application, and I'll put that information up in just a second. Today, I'd like to talk a little bit about some EAPs or early access programs that I'm personally participating in, and my feedback and advice to you guys who may be interested in getting involved in some of these EAPs. And if you've never done an EAP before, this may be the perfect opportunity for you to explore these. We'll talk about the elephant in the room, who is AI, and I'll talk a little bit about where my journey is with that. I typically try to avoid any AI discussions here, but I feel like now's a good time that we're here in the summer to talk a little bit about what I've been going through and hopefully share some of my learnings with you all as perhaps you guys are on a similar journey. I always like to do a mid-year checkup of my Zendesk instance around this time, right before I go out on vacation, just to make sure it's in good shape and, prepared. Not so much for the holidays just yet. I usually do that in the fall, but we'll get into that in just a second. Got some homework for all of you to complete before we roll out of here, and then finally we'll wrap it all up. And sorry if things are a little slower today to interact with the presentation. Somebody stole my conference room that I reserved before today's meeting, so I had to juggle to get into another room. No respect for the conference room calendars this week, but we made it through and we're live. So let's get into it, guys. So real quick, let's review last month. We had some special guests from the community team, Nicole, Drew, and Devin in here, and they were telling us about the programs that they all support. And we learned a little bit about the Zendesk community, which I'm sure many of you participate in. I love reading the posts in the community. I'm probably more of a reader and trolling of the post and voting on the post than I actually do contribute. But when I do post and when I do get answers from you guys, I really appreciate it. So if you haven't done anything in the community, definitely check it out and spend some time in there. User groups we learned about as well from Drew. Many of you here are familiar with user groups because you were able to find this one and you joined in. So thanks again for being here. There are some other great user groups out there. I heard the AI user group had a fantastic session recently. The enterprise user group had a bunch of product managers on it. I can't remember if that was this week or last week. Time is flying by. But again, an excellent user group. Again, whether you're an enterprise customer or a small, medium business, doesn't matter. You can join as many user groups as you want. I highly recommend, jumping in on some of those. And there's a ton of others. There's a developer user group, an explorer user group. I think there's a couple other local user groups that may be in your area that you may want to, participate in. I don't think out here in the New York area that's launched yet, but I know like DC area, Texas, all those places have some localized groups. So check out usergroups.zendesk.com and join as many user groups as you want. I try to go to as many as I can. Sorry, I spent a lot of time on that, but I'm very passionate, as you can see, about the user groups. The Luminaries program, if you haven't checked that out yet, Drew talked a little bit about that. That's kind of like just a fun little thing, like when you're in a really boring meeting, or you just need to kill some time during your day. Go check out the Luminaries program. A lot of cool stuff to do in there. You earn some points. It's sort of some gamification, many things that are in there, just help you learn more about what's going on in the Zendesk ecosystem. So really recommend that as well. And then finally, the community events. There was a great community event on Tuesday, yesterday, that I only got to listen to a part of it. And the topic was, the core platform. I'm so excited for the replay of that to come out, and I get to watch the whole thing. But a lot of great community events, and you can find them all on the Zendesk support site, support.zendesk.com. So that's enough on that. So moving on to some topics for this month. This is what happens when people take over my conference room. I can't advance my slides. So let's talk about summer 2024. It's hot here in New Jersey. It's day 3 of our heat wave, and it just hit 90. We'll be into the mid 90s and high humidity in just a moment. This will be our last meeting of the summer. We'll regroup here in September, September 21st to be exact, at 12 p.m. And the registration for that is open and available. So if you haven't already, go ahead and register for that. But I'm taking off in 2.5 weeks. I'll be hitting the Caribbean on another cruise, leaving with 10 of my closest friends, and really looking forward to 9 days of sun and relaxation and lots of food and adult beverages. But before I go, I'll be hitting up the Zendesk Showcase here in New York City tomorrow, actually, if I remember my dates correctly. There are many showcases going on. I learned about this event just haphazardly, and I just wanted to spotlight this for you. So if you're in probably one of the major cities, you should probably check out that link that I've put in there, zendesk.com/company/events, and see if they have a showcase coming to you. Even some of the major international cities are being featured as well. So check it out. I believe it's supposed to be kind of like a mini relate and highlight some stuff. It's a half morning. I'm going to be in New York City, like I said, tomorrow. If I'm going to see you there, drop me a note. Would love to meet up with you. And looking forward to seeing what Zendesk will talk about at that event. So hopefully some really good showcases. I think Canada was either yesterday or today. But yeah, really exciting stuff going on with the showcase. All right, so let's have a little bit of fun here and do a little bit of Slido. If you've never participated before, it's really easy to Slido. You can go to slido.com and enter that event code. But the really fun way to do that is just take your camera, scan that QR code, and you will get taken to our first Slido poll of the day, which is kind of an icebreaker that I probably should have done earlier in the event, but I didn't. So if you go on over there and Slido with us, you will see our first question of the day in one word: what are you doing this summer? And the responses already are fantastic. I can't wait to share them with the group. We'll give everyone a few seconds to get in there. Oh, these are great. I love it. I love it. A lot of people are typing, and as soon as they're done typing, I will put this on the screen for you all. All right. Give it just another few minutes because I see a lot of people are typing, but keep it coming. Oh, somebody put in a sad face, and I get it. All right, I'm going to throw this up, but feel free to keep participating because it's too good not to share. What are you doing this summer? Sleeping, sweating, dancing, some awesome things going there. Visiting national parks. I hope you have your passport. I got mine. I don't have it filled very much, but I have Alaska stamped in there, so that's cool. For whoever's enjoying their newborn son, congratulations. Yeah, the Olympics, they are kicking off right now. Couple weeks, right? Relaxing, yeah. Who doesn't need that? Upskilling, fantastic. Trying not to melt, yeah. Tell me about it. Well, really good stuff. Let's do. Let's go back to our presentation, and we'll go back to Slido in a second. So keep yourself open there. I just need to go back and make sure I know what I'm doing. I apologize again. They took my conference room. Okay, so the first topic for this month that I really wanted to talk about was EAPs. And I wanted to share with you some of the EAPs that I'm participating in and tell you a little bit while I'm so passionate about EAPs. For one thing, you're probably saying, wow, that's a pretty big list of EAPs. And you're right, it is pretty big and probably a little overwhelming for some. But the good thing is these are things I get to play with and get things I get to explore. And, as a user group leader, I don't get any sort of special preferential treatment. These are all EAPs that anybody can participate in as long as your domain qualifies for them. So let me start with some of the basics. One, how do you find these EAPs? If you go to the support site and you search EAP or you search any of the names of these EAPs that I have listed, you'll see all the sign up information that's available for them. Two, they're entirely free. There's no cost, even if they use some advanced AI feature that you may not be licensed. Zendesk has been good, at least in these EAPs, in allowing us to participate in the EAP even without the advanced AI sign-on. They will, of course, when they go GA, require you to have the advanced AI. But if you just want to kind of kick the tires with it and explore what these things could do for you, it's a great way to do it. Somebody asked, what does EAP mean? It's basically a beta. It's basically their early access program, allowing you to see something before the rest of the world gets to see it, so to speak. You get to kick the tires, you get to find the bugs, you get to use it just like it would when it rolls out in production before the rest of the world, and you get to give some feedback. And that's sort of the exchange here that they're looking for. We'll give you the feature, you give us your feedback. A lot of people I know are afraid of EAPs because they're like, oh, we don't want to put this in our production environment. And I get that. But the good thing is you can deploy these in your sandbox as well. And use them in your sandbox environment, experiment with them there and see what they have to offer. And maybe you do want to put them in production as an EAP. So let me bring you through my list a little bit and tell you, the good, the bad, the ugly about all of these. So categories and views, a lot of us have been dying to get categories and views for a very long time. And Zendesk has finally come through. It's implemented a little bit different than I would have expected them to have implemented it, but it is still pretty cool. You basically, just like you do the drop downs in drop down fields where you put the first level, 2 colons, and then the name. Same thing with views that you want to set up in categories. You put the category name, 2 colons, and then the name of the view. And then when it renders in the UI, it puts those or clusters or groups those all together. The cool bonus feature that I love about categories and views is that you get up to 100 views now, shared views in your view dropdown. And I know that's probably a lot of controversy out there. A lot of people believe there's probably only 2 views you need. I use views as my query mechanism, and I have lots of them. My agents don't have lots of them, but I have lots of them. So if you're interested in views and you're interested in categorizing them, and you've been waiting for this feature for 100 years, go and try that EAP. I've had nothing but success with it, and I'm actually using that in production. And again, when I say in production, it's really just for me. Modifying closed tickets is out there. It's pretty limited right now. I don't really have a ton of use cases for it. It is really about modifying tags on the tickets right now, closed tickets. I assume it's going to evolve a little bit and get some more stuff. I haven't really played too much with it because the things that I was looking to modify in the closed tickets weren't really tags, but I get, why they're sort of treading lightly here since it's new territory for Zendesk. It's kind of breaking cardinal rules and all that. But I thought it was worth trying to see how it evolves. And that's kind of one of the cool things about EAPs is you get to see how it goes from concept to development and then finally GA. So really cool to be part of that process. So modifying closed tickets is out there. Suggested replies. This was something that got announced at Relate. And basically what this is basically, or at least right now, my experience has been suggested macros in the editor. And I'm assuming that this will evolve. I've tried to get some more information from the product manager exactly how this is going to work in the future. But really what I've seen in my experience is if Zendesk has some knowledge about how your agents are always responding to a type of inquiry, it will suggest a macro to put in there. So it doesn't look like it's using any Gen AI just yet. It doesn't look like it's dynamically writing anything. It's really just pulling a macro in to what it believes is the correct response to a ticket. Still relatively cool. I'm using it in production. I'm beta testing it with a small team here. One of the caveats that I would like to throw out about all of these EAPs is Zendesk doesn't usually put a lot of controls in place for these EAPs. So if you just wanted suggested replies to work on, let's say, Group A, you're probably not going to do that. They're probably not going to have that built in day one. It's probably going to be something that's universal and available to your entire population. So that has been sort of a challenge with suggested replies with us. And I think as admins, we would all really appreciate, very granular controls with these sort of beta tests. But it is sort of the give and take. And it's one of the things that frustrates me the most is that I want to test this stuff, but I want to keep it control, and those things aren't there. But back to suggested replies, it seems to work on some use cases really well, especially if you have macros. I really would love to see it evolve and use my knowledge base and really get into answering some real questions for my agents and speed up their replies. It also lacks any reporting right now, at least reporting that I can use. That is meaningful to gauge the effectiveness. And I get it's still an EAP, but Zendesk has always had this tradition of lacking a little bit on the reporting side and being delayed. And it's really hard for our operations team to roll things out when we're missing sort of that reporting factor. So I put some macros in place. I know, kind of silly, that agents have to run if they use the suggested reply or not. And it's one step up from a tick sheet. So, take it what it is. There's a lot of great conversation going on in the chat. And I have to admit, I'm having a little problem with my contacts today and the smaller monitor because somebody took my conference room. So I'm having a little trouble reading the chat on the side here, but I appreciate, I think Tiffany's helping out, responding to some stuff. So I really appreciate the conversation that's going on in there. If there's anything for me, I'll definitely follow up with you after today's meeting. So moving right along, and I'll try to take this a little bit quicker. Customizable CSAT configuration. For those of you who are using Zendesk CSAT, this one may be the one for you. Zendesk has finally allowed some configurations around CSAT to be made, modifying questions, modifying the presentation just a little bit. It still feels like a little bit like lipstick on a pig, but I think it's a step in the right direction, and I really hope this one evolves just a little bit more than where it is. Just to go back to suggested replies, I think I mentioned this. I'm using this in production. Customizable CSAT. We're trying to figure out how we can use that in production, but we haven't made that jump just yet, just because of some of the features that we wish were there that just aren't there. Entity detection. This is a brand new EAP that was also announced at Relate. And it just got enabled on my instance yesterday. And I was scratching my head a little bit to understand exactly how it works. And I'm still scratching my head a little bit less, understanding how it works. I get the concept of it, but I haven't really found a use case that applies to me. Basically, the scenario is like if a customer is talking about a model, I think in their example of a camera that you sell. So model A versus model B, it's supposed to detect that and set a custom field based on knowing that. I have 10 million titles or products on my website, many of them with the same name. So I'm not quite sure that would be an effective use case for me. So really where I was hoping this entity detection thing would evolve is if there was an order number or account number or a member number in a ticket, that information would get sucked into a custom field, and I would be able to act on it. And maybe it will evolve that way. Not quite sure, but it is day 2 of it being live, so we'll see where that goes. But definitely worth checking out. It's supposed to use some AI, so I'm on the bandwagon. Brand spaces I'm particularly interested in. It is on its way to drawing lines between brands, or barriers, I should say, between brands. So if you are operating multiple brands out of your domain, and you don't want brand A to see brand B, or you don't want users in brand A to have anything to do with users in brand B, or if you want those groups and things separate, you may want to check out this EAP. And that's really what it's trying to do, is keep those brands separate. I think it's got a lot of potential. I think it also creates some confusion when you're planning it out. We haven't implemented it in production just yet, but we're thinking about it, and we're trying to think about how we can best utilize it. And then redaction suggestions. So we are hypersensitive here about PII being in unstructured data. We know it happens. We are just trying to limit it as much as possible. And it looks like redaction suggestions is on its way to being that solution that could help us a little bit in identifying our PII exposure. So redaction suggestions is just what it sounds like, and it's just gone through some major revisions. But basically, it is attempting to find PII in tickets, and you can now define what kind of PII it is, whether it's birth date, credit card numbers, international account numbers, and social security numbers, a whole bunch of other things that I'm forgetting. And then it will do a couple things. It will either highlight it for the agent, and I forget exactly what the other option it is that you can do with it. I've suggested it'd be great if I could proactively know about tickets, or get a tag put on tickets where it thinks there's PII, so that we can have some sort of process that maybe goes and targets those tickets. Haven't really fully thought about it yet, but I always have that eye to what are the auditors, what are the security team gonna hit me about when it comes to PII. So Those are my experiences with EAPs, and those are ones that I'm actively participating in, whether in production or in my sandboxes. And sometimes I'm just, dabbling in them for a day and forgetting about them. Like, if I get in there and I find that they have no value, I put them to the side, I leave them alone and wait for it to go GAA if I'm able to use it. Sometimes I'm disappointed with the features and functionality, and I let the product manager know. But yeah, these are some ones that I recommend checking out. What are some EAPs that you may be participating in that are not on the list? Feel free to drop those in the chat. Love to hear if this is of any help to anyone, and what your experiences have been with EAP. But really think they have a lot of value. So all great stuff there. All right. So come on. All right, mid-year checkup. So, like I said earlier, this is the time of the year before I go on vacation, and this is more of a cover my butt so that when I'm away, nothing blows up. But I like to go through and do my mid-year checkup, and I just wanted to, give you guys a couple of the things that I like to look at that may be great for you guys to also take a look at. I am hypersensitive about users, and I want the minimal amount of users to be active in the system. If there's somebody not logging in for 30 days, I want that account gone, both for security purposes and for billing purposes. I don't want to have to use one more license than I need to. So user cleanup is the top of my mind, and I look at it weekly, Mondays, 3:00. It's a part of my calendar every week to look at users and clear that up. Knowledge base. Do we have clear and concise articles? And this is becoming more and more important as I learn about some of the AI and how AI uses knowledge base. Those titles and those first 75 words in an article are super important. So what are our top articles? Are they clear? Are they concise? Do they answer the questions, or do they ramble on? I always like to make sure that we're doing a checkup this time of year on knowledge base. Macros. Are we optimizing our routine task, or are agents still spending a lot of time selecting drop-downs, selecting forms, doing a lot of mindless work time and time again? I partner with my support leaders and see what they're struggling with, where they need some help, and see if macros are a solution there. Triggers. I love triggers. I have too many triggers. I'll admit it. I'm trigger happy. But I like to review them and make sure they're efficient, and if we can modify or if we could optimize them, I want to do that. I use triggers with webhooks a lot. I don't want to get into the controversy around that, but I think they're very helpful, again, for doing tasks that are sort of mundane and helping users do their work faster and more efficiently. So again, triggers, keeping them clean, keeping them concise, keeping them effective, really top of my mind. I'd like to pivot for a minute because my contact has refocused, and I can see John asked a question here in the chat about how do I monitor and manage inactive users. Yeah, and John, you raise a really good point. The ability to easily export user data without a developer or trying to work with a large JSON XML file is cumbersome. You're exactly correct. So there's two pieces of information I would throw out there. One, recently Zendesk added into the people screen, or the I think it's the agent screen in admin, the ability to export as CSV. It's kind of weird. You have to request the export. They email you a link to go then download the CSV file, which then I open up in Excel, and then go ahead and sort and filter by that. That same screen where you can do the export, you can also filter by never logged in and last logged in 2 weeks, 15 days, 30 days. I think there's a whole bunch of other filters there. And Dane, thanks for throwing that into the chat. I appreciate that. That's exactly where it is. End user cleanup. Yeah, end user cleanup. That's a whole different animal. And you're right. I would have to throw your question out to the group for that, about how best to clean up end users. I have millions of end users, so that's a little bit harder. But my end users are synced from another system, so that other system, at least for me, deals with cleaning that up. So if anybody has any tips for John for end user cleanup, feel free to throw those into the chat. Just getting back to the slide for a second. Explore. Do I have the right reports in place? I'm lucky. I have a really great reporting analyst. She's about to have a baby. It's freaking me out. Not that I'm so happy for her to have her child, but she's so good at Explore. We're going to miss her while she's out on maternity leave. So I've been really trying to focus a little bit on Explore and become just as good as in Explore as she is. I don't think I'll ever match her, but making sure that I have the right reports in place at the given time, and that my operations team has what they need, is certainly so important right now. Take the time to get the reports wrong before you need them during your busy peak and holiday season. So that's why I try to really do that this time of year. Chat messaging. I can't stress enough how important it is to test that experience out and see if you have the right experience for your end users. Have somebody else do it. Have somebody outside the organization do it, and just test your chat. Is it good? Is it clear? Is it concise? Is it doing what it's supposed to do? Is it behaving the way you're expecting it? All those great things. And then proactive notifications. I use my triggers. I talked about how trigger happy it is. I use my triggers to proactively notify me about tickets. I have keywords set up where if I detect them on a ticket, that I'm alerting the right people about those type of tickets, and that we are getting on top of them as quickly as possible. So definitely use notifications inside of triggers where necessary, so that about important tickets before anybody else, and before they become bigger problems. All right, and some great conversations going on there in the chat. So everyone who's jumping in and helping out, really appreciate that. Our member spotlight. So I just wanted to take a few moments and again, thank all the members of this group. Some of you have been here, since the beginning, since we started this almost 2 years ago. We'll celebrate that anniversary in November. It was our first Admin User Group meeting, but I just wanted to take this moment and recognize so many of you. Feel free, to throw your start date in the chat if you remember when your first user session was. But it's so great to see the same people here month after month participating, appreciating it. And it was so great to meet so many of you out at Relate. So just wanted to take a moment and spotlight you. And if there's anything ever that you want to talk about or, bring to this group, feel free. We can always carve out some time for your portion as well. All right, so I'm going to go ahead here in a moment and talk about my AI journey. And then while I'm doing this, if you want, I just am going to put another Slido live about your AI journey, and just take a little bit of a survey about, where are you in your AI journey? And if you don't have the link for the Slido, I just threw it into the chat. But go ahead and participate in the Slido. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my AI journey and where we are. So we've typically avoided AI in this group because there's a whole user group dedicated to it, and it's everything that Zendesk is talking about. But as an admin, my leadership has come to me and said, what are we doing? What can we do for AI? We have to do something as an organization. And I said, okay, let me go talk to a couple vendors. And, of course, talking to Zendesk and talking to some external vendors, I've learned a lot in the last 3 months of doing this, pretty much since Relate, right before Relate, I got that request. So here are some things that I've learned along the way that I wanted to share with you as you guys go through your journey. And it's so great to see that over 68% of you are, on this journey or exploring some sort of AI technology. Is this a bunch of hype AI? Maybe, but it's the shiny object that everyone's talking about, so might as well jump on the bandwagon. So what have I learned so far? These products will converge. I've looked at least a dozen different products. I've concentrated on 3 of them. They all do the same thing. They all have their little niche areas to them, but they all converge on the same basic requirements. Some do them better than others, but at the end of the day, their features and functionality are converging on the same goals that I have. What I've learned here is AI shouldn't be expensive, but they're pricing it very high. And it shouldn't be complicated, but many of them are making it very complicated. The one vendor I'm looking at has this whole chart of pricing, and I need an abacus to sort of figure out what bits and pieces. And I've gone back to their sales team and said, this doesn't work. I need to understand how to do pricing without a master's degree. And they don't think that it's very complicated, but I differ. And on the expensive side of this, if the goal is to save money, why would I want to spend millions of dollars, not millions of dollars, but potentially millions of dollars in cost over the year of a contract or over the years of a contract? So they really need to get their pricing in line. So if there's one area where I think you can push sales, it's on pricing. A lot of these products have asked me for very specific use cases, and I've said, I'm going to give you very specific use cases to demo, but I need to understand your product fully because I want to evaluate your product for use cases that I have today and ones in the future. Because we're not just talking about CX when we're looking at these products, we're also looking at things that would help with employee experience. And maybe there's some of these things in these products that we haven't even thought about yet. We have a large retail store chain. Is there a way that we could leverage this for our in-store employees to get answers to questions as well? So lots of different philosophies about how this thing could roll out. We don't want to shoehorn ourselves into a company that's only focused on X. We want them to be focused on X, Y, and Z. So really, think about all your use cases and ask them to think about use cases that you haven't thought about yet and how they're thinking about them. In my opinion, on all these products, because they are converging and doing the same thing, the relationship and service that you get from these vendors is everything. And some of the people that I've interviewed have really strong relationships, and some of them have not done well in building a relationship with me and are just selling a product. And that's a shame because at the end of the day, you're going to be working very closely, maybe not with the sales team, but they're going to be one component of the organization that's assigned to you, whether it's a Zendesk product like Ultimate or some other third party like a Poly AI. So you definitely want to partner who's strong with a relationship and where their service is top notch and they have experience. It's not Apollo AI. Sorry, it's Poly, Poly AI, like Polly want a cracker, the bird. And that was answers to Luke's questions. Set conservative goals. I can't tell you the ridiculousness of some of the goals that these people are coming to me with, saying that we're going to basically solve world hunger with implementing their product. And maybe we will someday, but these technologies are still new, although their underlying premise has been around for a while. They're still new to the CX world. We're not going to solve every contact day one, and we're probably not going to solve every contact or 90% of them on day 90. It takes lots of work in your entire organization to make those sort of projections real. If you're going to go into this, set conservative and realistic goals that you know you can achieve within your organization. We've been very conservative, even when these guys are saying we can do 60% in 90 days. Well, we know that that's a big push for the entire company, never mind the CS org. So we are more conservative in saying if we get 15%, we'll be in the money. Develop, I hope that's spelled right, develop realistic implementation plans. Don't boil the ocean. That is the typo. Again, this goes back to conservative goals. If you're looking at doing this in an omni-channel environment where you're looking to do chat, email, voice, social, yes, they're probably all configured in the same UI and leverage the same underlying technology, but that's an ocean that you're trying to boil. You should really focus on one channel, get it right, move on to your next. And gauge your customers' take on it. Are you shifting traffic? Are you solving problems? Somebody the other day, and it may have even been, it may have even been inside of a Zendesk event, said, "Don't be surprised that implementing AI gives you more volume." And I said, "Oh no, that would be horrible." But then they said, "Well, it's because that your company is doing such a good job of being able to do business with a customer that they're more than happy to use the AI versus not use the AI." So I thought that was very good reason why volume could increase. And then finally, push to the limits. And these sales guys are trying to make a number, and they're trying to make a name, and they're trying to get your brand on their slide. So push them to the limits. Ask for everything. Don't back down. Stick to your goals. The sky's the limit here, I think, with AI, and I think we're right at the beginning of these paths, and I think we have a lot of runway where we can really get a lot out of these products and commitments from these companies if we really ask for it. And these are my personal opinions and what my journey with AI has been. So I'm sure you guys have all, or at least the 73% of you who have been exploring AI, probably have similar thoughts, and I'd love to hear them. Feel free to throw them in the chat, or if you want to talk about them, love to hear it. Abby, I saw your question here about, am I using the Zendesk AI solutions? We are not. We are looking. We're not using the advanced AI package, if that's what you're referring to. We are talking to Ultimate to see, what they offer and understand what their solution is. And they have this sort of, Ultimate advanced AI integration that I don't want to call it integration, but package that they're trying to pitch to us that I think is interesting. It is one of many solutions we're looking at because, like I said, there are different ways to approach this. So we just want to make sure we understand all of the pieces. What I will say is, the Zendesk Advanced AI stuff is required for some of those EAPs that I put out there, like the suggested replies, but you don't necessarily need to have the advanced AI right now to participate in the EAP. And then Harper, if you're shopping for an AI solution, insist on a sandbox. Absolutely. I have sandboxes for all of the guys that I'm looking at, and I have my hands in there, and I'm trying to use them and configure them and do all those things. And but yeah, totally important to be able to know that I can use the technology without some sort of advanced training. That's definitely a great piece of feedback there, Harper. And Tiffany's put in there some of the AI solutions she's looking at. Cool stuff there, Tiffany. Thanks for throwing that in. All right. Oops. So I think we are still learning how to use a computer here. So we're finally going to wrap this baby up, and good timing here. Thanks everyone for sticking in here. I really appreciate everyone's time, and I hope you got a little something out of my my presentation today. But some next steps. So here's your homework. Go ahead and register for the September Admin Meetup. Go ahead and get those signups done before you go out on vacation. Usergroups.zendesk.com. Register for this user group, and then go register for everyone else's user group, because there's some really great ones out there. Go try out an EAP. Pick one. Do it in your sandbox. It doesn't hurt. Doesn't cost you anything. It takes you 2 minutes to fill out the form. The hardest question is going to be, what is my Zendesk subdomain? Especially if it's a sandbox. Never remember the number. Go to a Zendesk community event. They're announcing them all the time. Go to one. They're great. I love having the product the product managers there. It's a great chance to be able to connect with them and beat them up if you need to. Consider an AI strategy if you haven't already. About 30% of you are somewhere, still trying to figure that out. I recommend talking to your leadership and see where they want to go. CX, I think, is the easiest place to implement AI. Run your own domain checkup. I gave you some ideas on what things I do. Feel free to go out there and find what works for you to make sure your domain is healthy before you go away on vacation, so you don't get any phone calls or emails or nasty grams when you get back in the office. And finally, have a great summer. I'm so looking forward to vacation, to be with family, friends, and really decompress. But it's been a pleasure seeing you all today. It's been a pleasure being your host, and I can't wait again till we see each other in September. And before you know it, we'll be picking out our Halloween costumes. But until then, let's go have a great day. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.